Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to yet another session from the Start Now with Purpose and a Master Plan book. And today we're going to talk about setting non-negotiable values and how important it is then to cement those values in boundaries. If values is not a conversation you've had before, you need to lean in on this one. Because it is our values that set our personal principles and standards by which we lead our lives. It is our values that say, this is how far I want to go in life. This is how far I'm okay with people going in life as far as it is in relation with me and no further. And then a boundary, just like any boundaries that we may know, physical boundaries, a boundary demarcates limits of an area, right? This is the dividing line between that person's farm and my farm. I think we can connect, right? That person's land and my land. Even when you're driving, there are boundaries and the lanes that demarcate how, your lane and another person's lane. You don't drive in the middle of the boundary. You make it very clear, I am on this lane. Often people will try to edge in a little bit. Have you guys ever heard of land disputes where people just kept on creeping in and all of a sudden you've got less land than you did before? Over the years, now it's a clan war that, wait a second, when our ancestors were here, this was all our land. But after they started coming in, they started encroaching on our boundary. I want to propose this hierarchy, this general hierarchy of values. Remember, values are the principles and standards of behavior, one's judgment of what's important in life. I want to propose that God is the most important person in your life, right? So you will establish values that say, I center God in my life. Not I prioritize in my day, I start with God. My kids will do that. They'll give God like a good 180 seconds and try to run off and do something else because they're like, this religious mother, she's making us, spend time with God. Okay, I've done my thing. Not religiously. He is the most important person and the most important concern. And that means then, this is what values means. Values are almost like a sieve. You know a sieve? A sieve, whether you're sieving tea leaves, right? Or whatever it is that you're filtering off. Some of us make fresh coconut milk. And so your values are like that sieve that leaves all those husks and everything on top and has the good stuff coming down. If God is your number one prioritized, non-negotiable value, it means every decision you're going to make throughout your day, you're going to run it through the sieve of God. I want to propose number 2 is you. You're the second most important person. And therefore, whatever values and we'll talk about setting values later, but to go through the exercise of setting values, you have to buy my book, Start Now with Purpose and a Master Plan, because then that takes you through the exercises, like you're journaling through finding your prioritized non-negotiable values. But you are the second most important person, and you should set values that honor you. Why? Because this God is a spirit, and he has given you purpose and a vision. And in this season, you're on a specific mission. And he says you need to thrive. And we spoke about this when we were talking about living life on mission last week. You need to thrive if that purpose and that vision is to stand the chance a day. Why? Well, because you carry it in your mind, your emotions, and your physical self. So if in setting your non-negotiable values, you do not prioritize yourself, you're never going to be any good to anyone else. If I die, then the vision over my life dies. Then the mission that I'm meant to fulfill dies. And so when you're setting values, non-negotiable values, ma'am, sir, you need to be the second priority. Because anything happens to you, all those people you want to serve, your spouse, your children, your extended family, your community, whoever you feel you're called to, your nation, the world, there's nothing much you're going to do if you're 6 foot under. So God first, then you. Then I'd like to say your spouse. I once said this. I once actually put this list on social media, and I think somebody was really hurting in their marriage. And marriages can challenge you, right? And I think this person's like, "What do you mean then your spouse? To me, my children are next." No, your spouse is next. Even above the calling over your life, right? I often speak about the fact that your calling, the purpose for which you exist, the vision God has put over your life, whether it's for the marketplace or whatever context, that one doesn't change regardless of changes of life. Like my purpose and my vision and the mission that I am to fulfill, it didn't change when I got married. It didn't change when I had children. It didn't change when I switched countries. It doesn't change. So it is really important to know your purpose. It is critical. It is a waste of time not to know your vision and to live a life that is fulfilling God's vision. It's a futile life to be clueless, to just get by just. It is a death to just live just. But even God says, no one should come between you and your spouse, no matter the condition of your marriage. So God first, then you, not your spouse, by the way, then you, then your spouse, then your children, then everyone else. So in general, when you're setting your values, this is what I recommend, that you set values that honor those relationships first. So whenever life is happening, and life happens so fast all the time, whenever life is happening and any of those clash, you know what must take preeminence. So I'm starting out my day and I've got a lot of things going. I'm like, God will catch up later. I am not honoring my values. I am not honoring the priority of my values. I am not honoring what is non-negotiable. So not only is it non-negotiable, but where you have 5 or 7 values, I'd recommend maybe 5. And you prioritize them. You quickly know between God and me, God. Between me and my spouse, me. Between my spouse and my children, my spouse. Between my children and other people, my children. And that just helps you making decisions very, very, very easily. As a 360 leader, I want you to get this. This is why you meet some people that are so purpose-driven. This is why you meet people you're like, this is for decades now that they're talking this way. It's for decades now that they're involved in the areas they're involved in. I've seen them consistently, unwaveringly act in this way. Even when there is a cost to them, I have seen this person uphold the highest level of integrity and professionalism and empathy and support of others, even at personal cost. Why? Because this is a person that has understood and that has embraced and owns their values and has set boundaries even with themselves, even if it costs them to stand by these values. 360 leadership is a concept I developed that says, listen, there is no personal and professional divide. You have a spiritual aspect, mental, emotional, physical, relational, financial, professional, leadership, impact. There's so many aspects of your life that make up who you are. And they all interplay, they all intertwine, they all come together to help you thrive holistically. If you compromise any of these areas, then you're compromising all the other areas. If you're broke, busted, and disgusted, you're going to be a person who's trying to make a plan B at work so that you can make money elsewhere. You're going to be a person who's maxing out every single loan arrangement advance that your company can give. You're going to be a person who takes personal money and takes it to the business, and business money to the personal, and every area of life affects every other area of your life. If things aren't going well with you in your personal life and your personal relationships, You're going to show up at work distracted. You're going to show up at work and produce, mediocre performance, productivity, and vice versa. If I don't have non-negotiable values, the principles, the standards, what I judge as the right thing to prioritize in my life, I can expose myself to see any old thing, to hear any old thing, which then means I'll be thinking and speaking and acting in ways that are sabotaging God's purpose and vision over my life. So when you meet people who are purpose-driven, when you meet people who are value-based, when you meet people who seem to be consistently a certain way, when you meet people who are very disciplined in what they watch, people will tell you, I'm not watching that. Could you please remove that? Or please allow me to leave. When somebody would tell you, could you please change the channel? Could you please put that music off? Or please allow me to step outside. When you're done, I'll speak. And you're thinking, come on, just one song? Oh yeah, just one song is all you need for you to hear and keep playing in your mind. Pretty soon it comes out of your mouth and you create that whatever you keep on saying, whatever you keep on acting out, it's going to end up being your habits. And you automatically continue with those habits. That becomes your destiny. That just becomes where you're going. I'm going to give you examples of values, just in case all of this values, non-negotiable values, prioritized values, in case you're like, okay, what are they? For instance, somebody might say integrity is a value of mine, right? And I'd like you guys to write down some values, your values or values you've heard of. Integrity is a value of mine. Like, I will not do anything that is going to get me to compromise my integrity. Well, first of all, me, Modesta, I will not. I will not. But somebody, else could also be saying that. Whatever comes, I have decided in advance, I am not going to engage in any conduct that compromises my integrity. Number two, let's say excellence. Maybe you're a person way past quality. You're a person that says everything I say and do must represent excellence, must be of the highest standard. I want to have excellence in character, excellence in competence, excellence in performance. Everything associated with me must stand for excellence. If that is a value, you can think of a person even right now. When you think of that person, you're like, this person stands for excellence. They do not play. Everything of theirs is far, far and above anything else anyone does. They go over and above to wow. They go over and above to deliver. They will incur costs themselves so that they can show up with excellence. So you can tell people. You can just tell by engaging with people, by looking at their work, looking at where they work, looking at who they associate with, looking at how they dress, looking at how they keep time. You can just tell what a person's values are by watching them every day. You can tell. Balance could be another value that people have. People will say, listen, I'm going to live work-life balance. I will work hard, but I will make sure that I am healthy. I will prioritize my well-being, and I will prioritize the most important relationships in my life. I will not die for this company. So some people would say balance is key for them. Somebody else might say wealth is a value, and that is all right. Somebody else will say, listen, I am going to be a person of wealth. Yes. I am going to be a person who has financial wealth. I am going to be a person of relational wealth. I am going to be a person of leaving a legacy as well. I'm going to be a person who not only takes care of my immediate family, but I'm going to be a person who stands in the gap for the community or for the nation. I'm going to be a philanthropist. I want to be wealthy so that not only am I meeting my basic needs, that's basic, so that I can be a lavish giver. When you start feeling resentful, when you get angry, when you get fidgety, when you feel triggered, at home or at work, that is a reflection that there's a non-negotiable value of yours that is being broken, that somebody is dishonoring, or rather, you are allowing them, because let's not give other people power. You are allowing them to dishonor that non-negotiable values of yours. And inside, your conscience is telling you that is not right. That you need to sit down and be quiet and listen to yourself. There's a non-negotiable value that you have allowed to be trespassed. There's a boundary that you have allowed to be crossed. If it gets to you, it is for you to do something about. So these are examples of non-negotiable values, and the reason why we have them is that it sets the principles and the standards by which we want to live our lives, what it is we find important, and then it makes us then look out for behaviors. How I will govern myself, how I will manage myself, steward myself, is going to be in a way that aligns with these non-negotiable values, that aligns with these prioritized non-negotiable values. So I don't know what you stand for. I don't know what non-negotiable values even now have come to you that you thought about and you're thinking, I get angry because of that. I get triggered when I see that. I get mad. I get resentful. I am uncomfortable. There are things that I do. I wake up each day when I think about that. I have to talk myself. I have to dance. I have to drink. I'm distracting myself not to think about the fact that I'm living a life that honors my non-negotiable values. You need to stop doing that. So this is what I challenge you to do. Take time. And it's always going to be time in reflection. And this is, I think this is chapter 5, maybe, in the Start Now with Purpose and a Master Plan book. If you're going to go get it on Amazon, you're going to take time to reflect on your non-negotiable values. And the exercise asks you to initially start with 10 and helps you then prioritize them so that you end up with 5 non-negotiable values. And then I'm going to ask you to take it a step further to look at then, how do you govern your life to establish boundaries so that you don't let people, cross those non-negotiable values, but you also don't allow yourself to cross them? Because sometimes we just give up our values all by ourselves. So when you know your non-negotiable values and you can set them in a prioritized format, your life becomes so much easier. Your yes becomes genuinely your yes. Your no comes from the best of places. Like, I love you with all my heart, but no. I cannot come, I cannot go. I cannot give you that much, I cannot show up right now. Because you understand, I am created for purpose. I'm here on purpose. I must steward myself well if that vision over my life, if the mission that I'm meant to fulfill should stand. That's it for this week. Everything I have been speaking for the past, is it 4 weeks now? For the past 4 weeks is from Start Now with Purpose and a Master Plan. I have written 10 books. They're all on Amazon. If you go to Amazon.com and you write Modesta Mahiga, Modesta, Mahiga, Mahiga, it'll show up all my books. This book is Start Now with Purpose and a Master Plan. You can get it in paperback and you can get it in Kindle. No reason why you should now start this journey to discover your purpose, to develop a plan, to distinguish yourself in your presence, online and offline, and to make sure that you can deliver excellence consistently. If you'd like to work with me to do this for your life, there's a program called the Master Plan class that I have been hosting. That I hosted, the last one I had was 2 years ago. There were 200 leaders that graduated from the Master Plan class to help them discover their purpose and develop a plan. Plans like what I'm telling you about, how you're going to wake up each day living a life of purpose, living a life of values and boundaries, to display and distinguish their presence online and offline. Personal branding, making sure that who they are and who they want to be known as and what they want to accomplish is very clear to those that they're targeting. And of course, then deliver excellence, putting in the systems and structures, the support system to make sure they don't just do it once or for 3 months, but they can continuously, year in, year out, decade in, decade out, live out the values and the vision that God has set over their life and through their life for others. So if you're interested in that, DM the word Master Plan Class. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next week when we're talking about goal setting.